morning, everyone. It's Ben Buckner and Dan Bossy with Ag Resource Company in Chicago. It's Thursday, May 1st. Lots going on in the markets, but I think prevailing trends kind of define the day and really the week so far. We've got planting progress, of course, going really well, at least normal dates. We've got drought erosion in central U.S. We are down to just drought covering 20% of the U.S. Corn Belt compared to 26% a week ago, and that probably gets down to 15-17% next week as we've got more rain coming to places like Oklahoma, Kansas, parts of western Nebraska. So generally favorable U.S. weather. Macro market chaos still. We've got what we think may be the U.S. offering some olive branches to China. No concrete evidence there. Earlier in the week, the U.S. talked about sorting out or getting close to a trade deal with India, but we've got no concrete evidence on what's happening there as well. So still a lot of uncertainty over trade policy. Otherwise, I think, Dan, we're kind of trading fundamentals at this point with grain market stabilizing, which makes a good fundamental sense. And soybeans have been kind of the weak link of the ag space, at least over the last 24 hours or so. So what do you think exactly is happening with respect to the difference between those two markets?
Well, I think that's right, Ben. I think there has been better fundamental impetus for the grain markets to trade here. So we are looking at U.S. sales. We are looking at planting weather, and the two combine. Again, when you think about grain markets, it's all about policy and weather. And so I think that's what's happening. If we look back to yesterday, one of the reasons the soybean market got relatively weak was the disappointing biofuels data. I mean, if you look at this biofuels number here for the month of February, 576 million pounds, extremely low. So, all this talk about 50% of the U.S. biodiesel plants being closed in Iowa and renewable diesel coming off sharply is true. Now, again, if we look back for the entirety of the crop year, we're still relatively strong, but the last couple of months have been disappointing just because there's no subsidy for some of these biofuel producers. And without subsidy, either a blender's credit or 45Z, production is going to remain very low. The chart on your right tells you that imports are also coming off because of no blender's credit. So there's a little yin and yang or a balance that we look at the overall structure here. One of the things the soybean market will also have to look at is UCO. This is UCO imports by year. Of course, we in the United States are highlighted in blue. You can see that UCO imports were aggressive or sizable in February and January. But we expect that with the new 145% tariffs, that those UCO imports will drop significantly. So in our research, this gives a lot of support to July soybean oil under 44 cents. So you can look at soybeans and you can look at soy oil, but it's hard to be really bearish. And on the sidelight, we also need to think about lysine. Lysine is a component of feed ingredients. It's an amino acid. China was a big importer of lysine in the United States. So not having that lysine will help soybean meal demand here, domestically speaking. If we go to the next graph, you can see here this morning, again, strong U.S. corn sales, nearly 1.1 million metric tons, 40 million bushels, soybeans 15.7, wheat not as strong at 2.6 in terms of old crop, 8.8 for the new crop. But when you look at across the spectrum, we're becoming more confident about USDA raising their export estimate by corn by at least 50 or 100 million bushels in the May WASDE. And in soybeans, they should raise it by 20 to 40 million bushels. So U.S. corn sales are up 473 million bushels, while U.S. soybean sales are up 203 million bushels. So strong sales persist, and this will be a supportive factor, at least for old crop grain as it sits there today. We look back for the month of April, to Ben's point, a lot of improvement in soil moisture, particularly across the plains. It was the wettest April on record for the state of Oklahoma. So they have seen a big increase in soil moisture. That soil moisture stretches all the way into Pennsylvania. So again, this is not the start of 2012. If you go back and kind of correlate the years, we understand that every crop year is different, but this enhancement of soil moisture will keep temperatures somewhat cooler and, of course, provide an abundance of soil humidity going forward for a crop establishment. Lastly, if we look forward here and we get to the last graphic, the Midwest planting conditions look very favorable for the next 2 weeks. As we look at Iowa, the upper Midwest, and even portions eastern Midwest, very strong planting progress is expected. We think seed will get in the ground. We'll plant more corn because of that. And if you look at the temperature profile, it's variable. There'll be some warmth across the northern plains and the Canadian prairies, but then generally cool weather across the rest of the Midwest. And finally, Ben, we'll finish up with just a kind of a tidbit as we head into the May reports. Looking backwards, and this is from PS&D, and I'm just using graphics here. World wheat stocks have declined for 6 consecutive years, down 28 million metric tons in that same time frame. We're looking for another decline in 2025-26. So, demand is outstripping supply, and this is giving us tightening exporter supplies and stocks of wheat, which we ultimately think will be positive as we go through the crop year. So back to you with that, Ben, and hoping everybody has a great Thursday.
Yeah, there's not a lot of premium in the wheat market today, and I think that's fine. That can be the case for any given week, but growing season kind of starts in earnest today, and so we'll see if weather cooperates across the entire northern hemisphere. Our impression today is that northern hemisphere wheat production potential is fine, kind of middling. I think nothing real special. So to your point, I think we do probably face another year of declining world wheat stocks. Otherwise, I think another day choppy trading today. A lot of the world is on holiday for May Day, so keep in mind volume will be down. But I think you made some really good points. As we get into the summer growing season, it's going to be volatile. We know this. We don't want to forget that biofuel policy and trade policy is still uncertain. So kind of want to be very, very nimble on the addition of supply premium. I think very hard about what we need to do if that's the case, and that's how we kind of guide through and navigate these markets during summer. So again, another choppy day, most likely today, and we'll just kind of see what the speculative community wants to do, given we've got really strong corn demand, both ethanol and exports. Ethanol margins have improved on the break, so it's just kind of tough to I think fully relax that market. So, Dan, you got anything else?
No, that's about it, Ben. Keep the big picture in mind, and that big picture is somewhat bearish of soybeans and corn, longer term, positive of wheat. Follow our research, and we'll be more specific there. But I think that's the kind of mindset we'd like to have going into the growing season.
Yeah, stay tuned. App $1 gets you in. We're doing ethanol. The details of ethanol production this evening. So with that, we wish you all the best in the markets today, and we will talk to you again on Friday morning. Thanks.